Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, this is Skip from BK. Another season of Dreams Money Combined. We have the luxurious, we have the amazing writer. She's a fashionista. She's going to let you know if your fit is fire or not. And probably knowing y'all is probably not fire. She is Harlem's own. Like, trust me, Harlem is a different level of swag.
Okay.
Different level of swag. I'm gassing up, but, you know, she's trying to be modest because she's not around the homies. But the homies would be like, what are those? Yeah. So, without further ado, I give you guys KB.
Hello.
Hey, welcome.
Thanks for having me.
Yes, of course. And we did some research. We did a lot of research. I showed you some of it. You were like, oh my God.
I was like, how did you find those things?
Yeah, it's your name.
I have to clean up my Google search.
Yeah, you do.
I really do.
So, we're going to start from the beginning because I did say Harlem's own. Harlem molded you. It bred you. Let's talk about Harlem's influence because technically Harlem's influence is literally all over all your works with the creativity and stuff like that. Talk about living in the sixth borough, even though it's not the sixth borough. It's basically
we are a borough, but I'm not going to have that fight over here with you guys.
I'm not going to fight you.
So born and raised in Harlem. My mom was born and raised in Harlem too, and she was big on fashion. The luxury Black woman life was my mom. So I think that from a young age, I've always admired luxury. I'm always in love with fashion. I went to Catholic school for 8 years. So I never got to wear my own clothes unless you got something called a nut card, which is no uniform today.
Wow.
Yeah,
okay.
it was a yellow card. If you went to Catholic school, you know back in those days, that's how it was. So I've always had to make my jacket look spicy or like a scarf because we had to wear the same skirt, shirt, jumper, up down to the shoes. It was bad.
So there was no way to customize it to be your own
Nothing.
thing? Wow.
Nothing. And then, yeah, you were kind of stuck. So you only could get dressed up on the weekends. And that's how it kind of went. So I've always admired things that I couldn't have or couldn't do. So when I got the opportunity, I went to a fashion high school. I was like, oh yeah, like I'm gonna like down this out. And then as a kid too, I've always loved fashion. I used to take my tights and cut them up and make my dog clothes out of them. I've always wanted to be in the fashion world. So this is like the plan of how my life turned out. It's not surprising whatsoever.
Okay, so going by those handful of facts, mom was a fashionista too. She was coolest mom of the block,
coolest
type
parent
shit, right?
on the shore.
You were already doing customizations as a kid. You always wanted to. So it was like a prodigy story in a way when we're listening to this, where it's like all of those steps were there, right? Where it's just like, all right, cool. I can see her growing up and just changing the world when it comes to like styling people or even making a line or whatever you wanted to do. So it was there, right? How was it like being in a school where you can wear whatever you want? How did that freedom like give it to you? Because before, when you were restricted to having to wear the same outfit, you were probably like itching for like some color, some type of flair, and like now you're around people that dress. So like, how did you like? Look, I'm out dressed all y'all every day. How was that?
I think that when I went to school, it was like I went to fashion industries. It was a fashion show. So like I think that I finally, for the first time in my life, had the energy and the time to be able to wear everything. Also, we're not rich, so I didn't have the funds. So I would have to make some of the stuff that I wore, which was the fun part. You know what I mean? I think a lot of times people don't, like, I think more nowadays, it's kind of glamorized. Like, oh, you made that? But back in the day, it wasn't looked to be cool if you made your top or your thing. It was like, oh, you don't have money to buy it. That's kind of what the narrative was. Yeah. So for me, I was like, no, I want to make things. I want to do it. My grandmother bought me my first sewing machine when I went to high school. And I was like, I have to do this. I want to do this. And I wanted to look how the people in the magazines looked. So I would like mimic little pieces like I saw in The Runaway or something that I learned in class, cut it up and make it to something. When I was in high school, bandeaus were out. Do you remember bandeaus?
I wasn't a fashion dude, so
no. I mean, every girl knows they're just like literally the piece of spandex that they would wrap around. It's like a bra.
So there's absolutely no way I should know this. And if I did, I was ahead of the curve.
Like, okay, so it was just a piece of fabric stretched around, but it was a bra, and it was like the craze back in the. What year did I graduate? Whatever years it was. Okay. And we would make a bunch of those in class and wear them and stuff. So that stuff has always been fun. And I guess I never woke up and said like, oh, I have to be the best dressed. I just always made sure that I always looked my best. And I think that also goes back to elementary school and stuff because I couldn't wear new clothes every single day. I had to make sure when I did wear something, it was like, this is it. Like, she looks great. So I think I took that same concept into life and was like, no matter when you walk outside, you have to always be like A1.
So question, right? When it comes to styling people, right? And the fits, do you think, because I know everyone learns differently and there's different levels of like fashion stylists, Do you think when people come from like humble means, they're more creative? Because I feel like sometimes with people, they rely more on the brand and not like the whole entire aesthetic and how each piece comes together. Because I feel like for you, when I see your outfits too, I'll be like, all right, I feel like you can just give you access to like, you know, a thrift store, any level of like clothing store, and you can make a wardrobe. Yeah. And I think because of your humble means of being that type of creativity, I think that gives you an advantage because since you don't have access to the most expensive thing, you're not going to be like, I need this.
I'm not going to save up to do that. I'm going to do something. And I think that's absolutely right. I think that the most creative people are people who essentially have nothing and trying to create something out of nothing. I think that a lot of times we put too much emphasis on these high name brands and we're saying like, oh, I need this to complete outfit. And don't get me wrong, I love a bag, I love a thing, but your whole outfit doesn't have to be that. You can find the cheapest pieces and put it together and look just like somebody else. And I think when it comes to styling, the stylists that I do admire, they do that. A lot of times you can't tell always what they're wearing. It's always not the raw pieces. It's things that you're like, oh, wow, I didn't know that. I didn't even know what that was. Oh, that looks nice. And it kind of pairs it back together. I think that's what fashion truly is.
Okay. So you crushed it in high school and, you know, you're getting ready to go to college. Why did you go to the college you selected? Did it have like the type of background, type of department that you wanted? Because I'm looking at this, I was like, I would have never.
Okay, so I've always wanted to go away to school. I was like, I have to go away to school, but I've always wanted to be in fashion. So Buff State is the only school that had a great fashion program. And they had a program where I didn't do it, but they had a program where it's 4 years. You do 3 years at Buff and then you get admission to FIT for the fourth year.
Wow.
I went to Fashion Industries, which is the baby school at FIT, so I didn't want to go
right there.
I took Saturday classes at FIT, so I was like, this is not really. I always saw college, and I still do see college as a transition to adulthood. And I felt like if I went to college 2 blocks away from my high school, I'd basically be in 13th grade. And I kept saying this forever. I was like, no, I'm not doing it. So I went to Buff because I could go away to school. I was far away from home. I still get the same education that I want if I was in the city. And if I did take the opportunity, I could go back to FIT for the flash year, which I didn't do, but I could have.
Okay. Because I feel like it's very interesting also, quick like segue, with like those lead-in schools like that, like the fashion industries into like FIT. So interesting because like it's supposed to encourage you to go there.
And you're like, no.
But then it's like, okay, financially I get it. You probably, because you're.
And you get but FIT though is cheap. It's not cheap. College is not cheap, but it's cheaper. And they have a scholarship program with fashion in the school that you could basically go to that school for free when you graduate.
Yeah, but you're not going to grow. Because you're basically going to still have like high school mindset.
You take the same train. That's what I kept thinking. I'm like, I'm going to be taking the same train to high school to college. That does not make any sense for me. I'm like, I'm not like, I want it to be grown. I want to be a child now, but I want it to be grown. So I was like, I wanted something different. And 8 hours away on a Greyhound bus was totally what happened. And it was the best thing ever.
And you became a woman. And you became like, look, I'm going to deal with these boy issues, these friend issues, being poor on the meal plan.
Exactly.
So we're talking about like you actually doing style. Writing, how does that come into it? Like, were you like always writing in journals? Were you like expressing yourself like in like, you know, with those literary pieces? Because when we get to combining the visual aspect of like the pieces that you would build on the numerous websites that you were a part of, but like conveying it with the images and the wordplay of like, how are you explaining the importance of this is why I chose this piece. This is why I chose this piece. This is why I chose this accessory to go with this piece. Like, how does that go into it? Because I know with you, you're writing. And, you know, but you are curating an experience when it comes to your website, when it comes to what you've done in all of these websites, you've added value to it.
True. That's true.
How did it come together where it's like you made your visuals with yourself as like your own mannequin? How did you like, I want to write about this?
That's a great question. I've never been asked that. So this is on the spot to think about it. But I think that I've always liked to tell people what to do. And I'm a Leo. I love bossing people around. It is the highlight of my life.
Makes sense.
So I think that I don't know how to explain it, but I felt like when I went to school, I didn't want to lose the concept of fashion. Buffalo is not a fashion place. I was a part of the fashion org on campus, but it wasn't like the FIT experience that I could get if I was in the city still.
Yeah, because everyone's trying to be like on point with the fashion wear
in
New York State.
Nobody cares.
You're trying to be warm.
I'm just trying to be warm. I'm just trying to put this sweatsuit on and go to class, and I'm trying not to freeze walking from my dorm to the caf. Like, I just want to have it done. But I also didn't want to miss out on opportunities of internships. So I think, if I remember correctly, I think my freshman year my freshman year, I talked to my aunt or something, and they were just like, oh, what are you doing at school so that you can get an internship when you come home? And I was like, nothing. And they were like, oh, well, you have to figure that out. And I was like, well, I don't know how I'm gonna figure this out. Like, what am I gonna do? And I was like, matter of fact, let me just start a website. And it was such the as my best friend would always say, it's such the KB thing to do. I was like, let me start a website. And I just started gossiping on the website. And just like telling people, oh, you should like this, you should do this, you should do this. And
so what's the name of that website?
Simplicity Co.
Okay.
Yeah. So then it's kind of same off sim style, and same kind of concept. Wear this with this, wear this with this. And then people on campus would go to the website to find party outfits. So I was like, oh, this is lit. And then I started selling bags at the same time too. So it was kind of like a whole like an entrepreneur college startup that if I kept it going, I'd probably be a billionaire now.
Yeah, you probably would have.
I would be a billionaire. Laziness is not. Don't be lazy, people. Don't be lazy. If I could go back in time to that time, I'd be like, don't stop. Just keep going. Because like.
So Simplicity Co. is kind of like the
Sim style, exactly.
Right? So how long were you doing that? It was just only through college?
Yeah. Was it only through college? Yeah. I did it for about 3 years. So maybe my freshman year of college, slowly. It wasn't like updated rapidly. Maybe updated once or twice a month. And I did that up until my junior year in college. Okay. Yeah. And then we kind of ran from that. And then I was selling bags. They were called the classic. Everybody's seen them now because a lot of designers have copied the style. I was making, paper bags.
Yeah.
I was making leather paper bags. So the paper bag style, like how a paper bag is, but in leather. And you would roll it to hold it in your hand. And like I was making a killing off of them. All over New York. I had some in Europe, some in Chicago.
Okay.
And I was making them by hand though. With my sewing machine in my dorm room. I would like go to class, get an order, come. Like it was crazy.
Where did you get? What kind of leather was this? Like
from the fabric district downtown. Because remember, I went to school
doing that, and when you're in fashion industries. Mm-hmm. So were you still doing that in Buff, or were you doing something?
No,
different?
I did the bags in college.
Whoa.
So literally, I would come home on breaks
and get the
leather, the fabric, and bring it up there, do my orders. Then my mom was helping me too. So I was like, "Hey, I need more lining." She would go to the place, pick up the lining for me, ship it up to Buffalo. We kind of like had this thing going up and down. Mm-hmm. Okay, it was really cool. Now that when I talk about it out loud, I'm like, "Damn, that was really cool." Like,
I mean,
but I feel like it was fun.
I feel like there's a lot of things when we think of like you kind of getting in that bag of like making clothes and like figuring out trends and like either superseding those trends, which is also amazing in itself. Whereas a lot of people, they kind of jump on the wave late and they try to like monetize it. And you would kind of like, I would have never thought, well, again, I'm not a lady. So a lot of the things that y'all be like doing is pretty cool.
True.
And I'm just like, I would have never thought this and this, but that's y'all. Y'all be like leading in the fashion. How do you get into like the Hampton Mouthpiece, and how do you get into like these other websites? Because you even had like your WordPress, like because I did not find Simplicity Co, but I found everything else.
I don't know how you found the WordPress. I think so the Hampton's Mouthpiece is my aunt's website.
Oh,
my aunt lives in Hamptons, Sag Harbor, and her website is like what is the word? It's like what do we go on down here to find things? It's like the traveler's guide, I guess you can say.
Wow.
She does all of the socials for a lot of the Hamptons platforms. So she started the Hamptons Mouthpiece. And when she started it, I was like, well, I have my website. Let me just put up a few style boards on your website. She was like, okay, cool. So I interned with her for the summer. That's when I met Rick Ross too. It was really, this is so long ago. This is when Russell Simmons, who we don't talk about anymore because he's crazy, but he had this party called Art for Life.
Okay.
And Art for Life essentially was a fundraising that happened every summer. And the donations from the fundraiser will go to arts for schools and for art schools. So that summer I interned with her and we did such a good job that we got invited to Art to Life for that summer. And I covered the event. That was like my first like real industry situation.
Yeah, because you kind of like press.
Yeah, I was like, exactly. So I was like doing that. And then from there at the same time, the WordPress came around because I think I was trying to build my portfolio. I think that's what I was doing. And I never deleted it. And you have reminded me to delete that somewhere. Because somebody's Googling that. I'm telling you, somebody's Googling that. First of all,
they had to find your name. And even that was difficult. Yeah. So trust and believe, ladies and gentlemen, good luck. Because by the time you even watch this, it's probably gone.
It might be gone. It is.
But one of the things that I looked at when I was looking through both of those, because you had articles on the Hamptons Mouthpiece, and then you had like the WordPress, and it goes back from 2014 and ends in 2016. But I just feel like when it comes to understanding, you have like patterns and stripes, like this is office thing in a day. You're building a formula.
Yes.
You're building a method, right? And this is what I'm seeing when it comes to how you're posting and stuff like that. And I kind of wish I saw Simplicity Co, but I already seen Sim Style since I've like met you. So I've paid attention to it. Again, I'm not the fashionista and I'm not the working girl, but I did tell like women that dude fit that. I would share that website with them. But I feel like it was an evolution of like, if you, each of them was like a publication, you were kind of graduating along until you got to your own where you can curate exactly the way you want to. Because I feel like each place, obviously you're writing, you're creating articles, you're creating a vision, but it wasn't Sim Styles yet. But I can see the steps or the blocks that was going to be Sim Style. And it's pretty impressive to see that growth.
That's actually really funny. I've never even thought about that. Literally what you're saying. I'm like, oh, you are right. Because I was building the working girl life from back then. And I think that also comes to that I've always wanted to be a working girl. So like I've always, this is why I believe in like manifestation and things like that. Because when I was a kid, I would always say like, oh, I want to work in an office building and I want to work in fashion and I want to wear heels to work and blah, blah, blah. So I guess I've always had that idea of what I thought adulthood would be. So I've always built platforms or the life that I wanted around that. And I guess now I can say I live it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And you know what's interesting? Because you even had like, what is it, on Power 105 when it came to like, you were writing for, I think the New York Fashion Week, and that was from what?
I think last year. No, 2 years ago?
Yeah, it's from 2019. 2019. And also, I think you had like 2 or 3 posts from that. And it was just, it's wild because like these are things you having spaces where people are kind of like giving you opportunity, like, hey, cover this, right? And now you're basically going to be doing this for yourself. Whereas like you've been running Sim Style for like 4 years, right? And each level you've done layout changes. You've done like, you know, certain releases, you have a newsletter. And it's like, now it's kind of like, what do you have else planned? Because I feel like you made clothes before, didn't know that, right? And you have like this way where you're an influencer when it comes to building
your platforms or building that lifestyle.
But what would you want to do? Because I feel like this story, I'm in the beginning part. I feel like this is going to be, someone else is going to use this as research for like 10 years from now when you like have done more. But what would you want to do? Because like, remember, you were a little girl. You saw like your mom. She was killing it. She was wearing the heels. I don't know if she had red bottoms, but you probably, both of y'all wearing red bottoms now.
We matched them now as an adult.
So like, what do you guys want to do? Because I feel like even when you have that partnership with your mom, like y'all can do literally whatever you want. And you have your aunt. Like you can literally have like a Power 3 Black woman vibe going. Like,
I think that, so Simp is just starting. I think that the best thing about COVID, it kind of made me open my eyes to see where I wanted my life to go. I think that I've always downplayed things that I did because it was just like, oh, that's just me doing it. It's not that big of a deal. Up until recently where like, fingers crossed that something happens, but a big publication reached out to me in regards to like my platform and like what I did for it. And I was like, you guys saw that? And they were like, yeah. So even with my resume, all of the companies I work for, my thing that I do as a hobby, which I called a hobby, was like something that they liked the most, and which is why they reached out to me. So I think that it only could get bigger from now. So we're coming out with a mug line, and it was supposed to be tomorrow. We had some problems. So next week it's going to be the launch date. I'm aiming for November 1st.
Okay.
Simp is going to do working girl mugs. So like when you hear coffee and tea, like mugs with like quirky sayings on it. And I think that's going to build the monetary version of what I want Simp to be. And then I want to start creating the whole working girl lifestyle. So from journals to planners to pens, like I want Simp to be the entry level way for women in these spaces to know what to do. I think that I built Simp because when I started working, I didn't really understand, like my mom worked in advertisement. So she knew what was going on, but fashion is a very, very different world. And a lot of things that happen in the fashion world cannot be mirrored in other spaces. So I really didn't have anyone to talk to. I've never had a mentor. I've never had somebody to like, I can call on the phone and be like, hey, is this wrong? So I built Simp to be that invisible mentor for other people because I never want somebody to make the same mistakes that I've made. So I know. I want to continue to build that up. I want to get my team back together. I did have a team prior to that. I had a writing team of like 5 girls. I want to get the team back together, and I want to kind of open up that world to not just working girls, but then kind of transition it back into college girls and help making this be like the full, like, okay, great. I'm in college and I'm about to go for internships. Let me go on this website and find something that's going to help me not only get the internship, but dress for the internship and the right questions to ask for the internship. Or, oh, I'm in college and I want to start a business. Let me see what that transition looks like, how to start a business in my dorm room. Because I literally was making bags in my dorm room. You know what I mean? And then kind of transitioned over to like adulthood. I got my first job in whatever field it is. How do I maneuver in the office? How do I ask for a raise when it's that time? How do I ask for days off? Like those are 3 things that I struggled the most with. I didn't even know how to ask for a day off. When I graduated undergrad, My first 3 years, I worked straight through. No vacations or anything. If I took a vacation, it was because it was a weekend and we may have had the Monday off. But like, best and believe, if the Monday was off and I had to be at work Tuesday, I was docking in the airport Tuesday morning at 7:30 and going to work and changing in the bathroom to go to work. Because I didn't know how to properly ask those things. And yes, I could have asked my mom, but I think that we kind of shy away from asking older people because we don't think they understand.
No, it's probably because you're Leo.
Yeah, that's true. That's also true. That's true.
Yeah,
that's also true too.
Because I was like, look, how are we doing this? Because I'm tired. You've been like, I'll figure this out.
I literally yarning at the tail. Okay, we're gonna get this done. Like I'm used to those things. So I want Simp to be that platform where somebody doesn't have to do all those crazy things. They can just like go and read it and be like, okay, cool, and be authentic. I feel like a lot of platforms, they're not authentic anymore.
Yeah, because they're
entertainment based.
Because this is why we're getting to a point, because we covered some things, but now it's like it's a lot of freestyle because there's a lot of questions that I have based on this conversation. So you were a college lady, girls, college lady, business, trying to get some fashion.
I'm trying to get something going in Buffalo,
but in a cold area because like they don't like. Why are you? Who are you trying to impress? We're cold, right?
We're freezing.
So college girl, and then you become a working girl. So right now, Simp is geared towards like, you know, the working girl, working lady. Would it be like you're going from like that to like become like a full faceted like lifestyle blog? Because you're seeing the transitional periods, right? Because now it's like, look, college girl into like the working girl. Because you're still gonna have the working girl, but like the derivative would be like college girl.
Yes,
so
exactly.
You still have both those things. Because look, you're not gonna be a college girl forever. You're gonna have to
transition eventually to this
big girl
part.
shoes, right? That's amazing because you're basically kind of helping people along the way, like you did before. Like at the same time when you had like those previous blogs. Where other people were like, yo, I don't know what to do. And they'll look at you like, all right, KB knows it, right? College. Now, you're a working girl for like 4 or 5 years. All right, I don't know what heels to put in. Like, I don't know how to do this, right? And now, in like 10 years, not jinxing it, but eventually people get married. They're going to have their kids. Their kids are going to be trying to get ready to go to college and stuff. And like, you're going to go from like kind of being like, yo, to like the OG.
Exactly.
Right? And how as an OG, you're like, look, I'm trying to help y'all because I didn't have someone to give me game. Now it's your turn. Because it's going back to what you said about the publications. There was a time sometimes when I would go to like the supermarket or like whatever, I'd see like the same headlines. But I wouldn't pay attention to it, but I would see like the same headlines like probably like every other year where you see like they're just rehashing the same thing. They're rehashing the same photo shoots where they use the same concept. And after a while, it's kind of like, why? Because it's like, it doesn't feel kind of like genuine.
It's not. I think it's funny because I remember this conversation. Whatever year that Kim and Kanye did the Vogue cover. Yeah. Okay. The first cover, right? I remember. So fashion has always been itself. There has always been a mesh within the music and entertainment business. But at the end of the day, fashion kind of made the statement. And when you would go to fashion websites, you would find fashion articles. I couldn't find what Kim was doing on Vogue prior to what I'm going to say, right? Okay. So I remember when the conversation came up about them doing the Vogue cover, and I was like, oh, that's never going to happen because Anna Wintour is never going to let that happen. She wants a fashion website because Vogue is a fashion website. And as we both know, it did happen because we then learned that she's a fashion woman, but we learned that she is very entertainment and rah-rah about what she likes. She wants to see the big people, the big faces on the website. And I think that's what a lot of these publications are kind of gearing to. They no longer have a niche for a certain demographic. They have whatever's out. So if you're popular, you're on the website. And I think that's what I try to stay away with Simp. We did like a Simp News. We did Simp News, which is a weekly article that just showcased entertainment news, but more boss women entertainment news. So when Rihanna came on Fenty, she would be on there. When Keke Palmer did something, she was on there too. So it wasn't like entertainment based. It was kind of like entertaining women and their business like abilities to influence you. But people don't do that. They want the clickbait stuff. And I think that when you have investors that are on your back and stuff like that, it's hard to kind of take genuine to what your niche of what you want it to be without having to make the money come in. Because if you're failing, people are going to say, okay, great, you want to talk about clothing on the runway all the time, but actually we can't pay the bills this month. So put something on there that's going to pay the bills. And I think that's what the clickbait things come into.
Yeah, because you need to get that ad revenue. So
exactly.
We talked about the fashion. We talked about the writing. Growing up, because your mom was really in tune with fashion, Did she have like so many fashion magazines and so many fashion publications for you to do, or did she just kind of like figure it out? Because like that's something I wanted to know. Is like, did you read a lot of like those magazines to kind of build that style, or did you kind of like just watch mom and just kind of figured it out from your own stuff?
My mom was a hip hop fashionista. So, and I say that because she wasn't the runaway fashionista. So she wasn't like the Vogue magazine in the house, but she had all the sources, all the other ones. So I learned brands through that. So when Kim was dressed in Louis Vuitton, I learned what Louis Vuitton was. Think different things of the sources, how I learned what brands were and what they do. And how they are replicated into the Black community, especially because that's how my mom dressed. She was like, oh, well, Kim is wearing this. I like this. I'm gonna wear this. Not scandalous, but like kind of like, oh, this is popular. Let's wear this. Let's do this. Let's do this. And I think flipping through those magazines growing up made me kind of understand culture a little bit and understand my influence on culture within fashion, which is where I think I found my loop to be like, okay, great. Well, I want to be right there too. I see how it's emerging.
Okay. Mm-hmm. That makes sense. That's why I feel like yours is not so, I don't want to say like stuck or like rigid as sometimes it can be with fashion magazines, where it's like we're just following like the old rules.
Exactly.
So we're going to stick to it. But have you, as you've gotten older, like kind of like glanced at some of like these more like highline like publications? So what's in your rotation right now?
Magazines?
Yeah, like probably like top 3, top 5. I don't want you to have to like say your whole thing.
Top 3, Harper Bazaar. I do vivid that through. Vogue occasionally. And then to be honest with you, I do a lot of hashtagging. Like I very rarely, for influence of what I want to write or influence of what I want to wear, I'll hashtag something. So like I'll hashtag sweatsuit on Instagram and I kind of look through the influences of what sweatsuit pieces I could pair together. I do that a lot. And I think that it's because like compared to the past, fashion is not just a magazine or just a platform anymore. It kind of is what everybody's doing. So I could wear a blanket outside and I'm sure I can make that be something. And people are like, oh my God, it's so great. So like I get influence from a lot of other people to kind of pivot to where I want to do things. And I think I've gotten to a point in my life where I just want to wear things that I like. I think that before I was kind of stuck on like, I remember back in like we were in high school, they wore like light colored jeans and things like that. That was like the trend. And it was like, oh my God, this is so cool. I was so stuck into being like, oh, let's be trendy. And then when I got a job, my first corporate job, I was like, well, I'm not about to spend so much money trying to wear work clothes every day. And then
your casual stuff.
Yeah, and then my casual stuff. I'm like, that's not gonna happen. I'll be broke. Especially because I'm spend 5 days a week at work. I'm like, I'm not doing that. So I tried to mesh the two worlds together. So I made a promise to myself and I was like, whenever I buy something from work, it has to be able to be worn outside.
That makes sense.
So I did a lot of that meshing together. So I think that's where my personal style comes from now. Anything I buy, should be able to wear it to work. And then I should be able to wear it when I go out.
So that would mean like if you had like those happy hour flexes or you meet people after work. It's not like people like me, where it's like how I dress to work is pretty much, guys, how I am right now. Like I work in like a tech startup, like well, not a startup. I know we're public. Sorry, guys. So I'll just be wearing a sweater, probably like quick slacks, quick jeans. Well, not Slack Panther. Not slacks. It's not slacks, guys. I meant jeans. I meant like chinos, even though y'all hate chinos. Oh my God.
That word is so weird. I hate that word. Just say pants.
Yeah, it's weird. But then it's like if it's like an after flex, I have to basically dress that way. But I feel like for you, your style is so
transitional.
Yeah, it's like it fits so many situations, and it's like obviously it is cost effective, but it just makes your kind of like your wardrobe even more
easier.
Like, yeah, it's easier to keep up with. Because what I learned from like GQ, and it's going to lead to my next question. It's not about having a lot of pieces. It's about having a lot of staple items. Because when you have staple items, it's easier to build fits.
Exactly.
And then I was learning that because fellas, invest in GQ. It saves your life. And I think for you, my question is, you have your own kind of like platform. What are some like? It doesn't have to be magazines, but what other platforms would you want to partner with? Like, and this is like you as like the head honcho of like Simp Style. What would you like to partner with? Like when it comes to like building maybe some articles and maybe some visual things when it comes to that? Like
I want to partner with not publications or things, people. So Simp does a working girl series. Okay. And I try to do it on a monthly basis. It's really hard. But
yeah, because the interviews.
Yeah. It's hard to get those people sometimes. Yeah. God. I'm the professional DM slider. I want to get working women to inspire other women. So now, like, I'm looking for what would be my dream interview for the Working Girl series? What would
Don't limit to one. I have like 3 or 5. I always like saying 3 or 5 because it gives you flexibility.
I think Michelle Obama would be the dream. Like
Yes, it
that
would be.
would be like blow this thing up. I would want to do who else? I don't know who I admire. That's a great question. I don't know. I don't know exactly who I would want. That makes sense. I don't know. I would just want people who believe in it. I will say that.
Okay, that makes sense.
I think so. On the role of the Working Girl series, I think a lot of times when people see a small publication, they don't really believe, they'll ignore the message, which is crazy how I got Beatrice Dixon to do it from the Honey Pot, because I was like, I slid her DMs and she went me back as faster than majority of the people on there. And I was like, oh my God, like, wow, people, when you believe in something, you want to do it. Similar to, there's a girl named Brooklyn Styles. She is Megan Stallion's head stylist now.
Wow. Okay.
And when I reached out to her because it was 3 o'clock in the morning. I was sitting on my bed and I happened to be zooming through another hashtag. And I popped up on this girl who had these contacts in it, very like they were cat eyes. And I was like, oh, this is weird. Let me see what this is about. Clicked into it, I found her page. And I was like, oh my gosh, she's so cool. I saw that she did a few other, she like styled YG. She styled somebody else, a few other like not smaller people, a few other entertainers. And I was like, oh, I want to do it. Let's do it together. And slid her DM, she accepted it. And she accepted it not knowing that I didn't know too much of what the past thing was. And she submitted the interview to me on Friday and she emailed me back on Saturday and was like, hey, by the way, include that I'm doing Black is King too. She did Beyonce's all of the wardrobes for Black is King. Wow. And I think that, exactly. So I think that I want women who don't look, when you meet them, you don't really know who they really are until you really do the research. And I think that's what kind of makes not just fashion different, but kind of like life different and
so
like
you
life
want
choices.
women like you.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, me, but I mean,
well, not like to be egotistical like Leo, but like it's like you wouldn't. I really had to dig deep.
Yeah, exactly.
Like I had to like really. And she's like, "Oh, you did the research." Like I really had to find things.
I can't believe you found evidence. I was like, "What the hell?"
I mean, once I found your name, is it? But it's the same thing for these people. Like if you actually show the passion, that that's incredible.
I don't want people whose Instagram pages look cool, and I think that's a big part when I do the Working Girl series and I do anything with Simp. I don't want Instagram cool pages because of what I've learned in life is that Instagram is a lie, and you can pick and choose what you want to put on your Instagram page.
True.
You can pick and choose if you want to be happy today on Instagram or sad on Instagram. I want people who you may not even know what they do, but then you walk into the boardroom and they shut the whole thing down. That's what I want. So I think to go back to the question of what would my dream people be? Yeah, I want the Michelle Obamas. Yeah, I want like the higher entertaining people to come down and talk about stuff. But in actuality, I think that would just take away from what Simp really is. And it's kind of like the everyday heroes, the girls who are like growing up trying to make it work.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Okay. So I see that vision for Simp Styles and you're making kind of like merch under that. Are you thinking about on your own, like trying to do like some styling for people, or do you do like only just privately for like some friends or family? Like, yeah, I'll help you guys and give me some money, give me some shoes.
Exactly that. I think that when it comes to the styling component of life, it's too serious. Fashion is supposed to be fun, and I think that when I first got into styling when I was in college, I was like, oh, I want to do this because this is fun and I like to dress. Nowadays, it's a bit stronger. People take the styling route a little bit too serious. It's not supposed to be as serious as it is. Like, I'm putting on clothes on you. Let's kind of call it a day. So I think I want me to be behind the Simp brand fully. I don't think I would want to branch off. I want like Simp to be me. You know what I mean? Like, but I also want to kind of step back and people not know it's me. That's impossible to do, but I want it to be a situation where like I am the brand lifestyle and I just live it. So like the articles and the content is more authentic. I feel like that's why when we started the love section, right? We started it slowly and I was like, oh, this is not gonna really pull. And that's one of the biggest sections on the website next to the Working Girl section. And I was like, oh, because people like to talk. People like to hear about personal experiences. So I think that I wanna just live life and be able to contribute as much as I can to different points of it to kind of make things more authentic and more real. So then when people read it, they're not just like, oh, this is how like most publications, oh, somebody read through this and this is this. It's kind of more of like she went through this, I like this, I'm gonna do this.
Okay. So we did the platform, talk about styling. Are you going back into making like cool items in addition to, or is everything going to be under the same style? Like, are you just going to?
I don't know. I'm thinking about it. I'm really thinking. So with the mug line, it took me, we're rolling into month 5 of trying to figure this out. I'm doing that myself. I bought the heat press machine.
Wow. Okay. Yeah. Dedication.
So I'm literally in my house heat pressing mugs every day. I would love to get back into making clothing. I was gonna actually do mini. Hopefully, when this comes up, maybe I actually decided to. I was gonna reinstate the lunch bags, but make them minis.
Ooh,
yeah, I was gonna
okay.
do this just because I was like in the house and I could do it. But I don't know. I feel like the market is getting too saturated with fashion, and fashion now is just sweatsuits. And I love a good sweatsuit. Don't get me wrong, but I think that it's sometimes it gets overshadowed when people are making garments from scratch. When I mean from scratch, I mean like draping them, sewing them, putting them together, because it's so easy to slap a logo on a sweatsuit. So I don't think I will want that. I don't think I'm ready for the public's eyes on what I would think it'll do.
Okay.
I think I just want to keep with the working stuff, and kind of like doing launch brands, because the end goal for Simp is to Roc Nation to be the first platform. Like we want to be Roc Nation's first publication. Yeah, it's gonna happen. Give me a few years.
I didn't even know
they don't, but we're gonna make it happen.
I would have never thought that they need. That makes sense, because they have a sports agency. They did that.
Why don't
they have for like artist management, but they don't have anything for like their own. That makes sense.
I know. We know. We've been thinking about this. So I want to be Roc Nation's first publication. So that's that. And I kind of want this working girl lifestyle to be a thing. I want to make the planners and the mugs, and I want to have them in CVS's and Rite Aids, which is why now I think I want to transition out of fashion and kind of go into buying for businesses, like buying for like CVS and Rite Aid. I think COVID actually opened my eyes for that one. So my professional career is in buying and planning. Right? Done. But during COVID, I saw that there's not, with all of the beauty supply stores closed and like supermarkets being weird, the selection of products within Rite Aid and CVS is very poor.
Yeah, it's very limited.
Yes. And I feel like it could be poor down here, but if you have a Rite Aid or a CVS in Harlem, you at least need to have a 50% good black hair product section, and they don't have that at all.
Wow. Okay.
And it kind of brought me to my attention, because I was like, okay, great. Before I got braids, I have a short haircut. I was like, okay, great. I'm trying to withstand a short haircut. Let's see how we're going to do this through COVID. And I was stuck in CVS trying to buy molding, something that molds my hair with. And I was like, how am I in CVS, a national chain, and I can't buy mold and stuff, but I can go to the beauty supply store down the block to buy it? It doesn't make any sense. So I want to fix that kind of concept and do that. And in doing that, I want to go into buying and planning for those stores so that I can then transition to working girl merch into those stores later in life. So when you go to the CVS, you can buy your mug and your planner like you can do anything else.
Because they have those sections. Mm-hmm. So that makes sense, because I don't want to touch in too much about your professional life, but I do want to touch on the skills that you've learned from that, because now it makes sense when it comes to this. Because there's a gap. There's a gap in CVS and Rite Aid and all those things, Walgreens, where people of color, black people, like people of color is trying to be politically correct. Black people. We do not have
representation.
We do not have the type of items that work with our skin, that work with our hair, that just make us feel as,
beautiful, as if we were to go to a beauty supply store or something.
So it's like we got to fix that. When it comes to like the buying and like, how does that work? Like, because I know for this is going to be like a very big project for you, and you're going to manifest it. You got the lines.
I'm into it.
How does that even tangent to you learn that type of stuff so you can get to doing that?
Well, buying and planning essentially is what it sounds like. Buying product, planning the numbers to buy the product, and actually buying the product.
Okay.
When you buy and plan for stores, you do it based on trends and research. Done. But you do also do it based on availability of the products. People come out with a line, and you shop the line. You say, I want this in my store, I want that in my store, and you kind of just do that. When you go back to like Rite Aid and CVS, it's a little bit different, because it's not off of what is trendy. It's kind of off what does this neighborhood need. But
it's not. That's weird, because they don't even care about what.
But I think that they don't have the right people in those places to do that. I keep saying this, and the people keep correcting me. But in Harlem, they built a Whole Foods on 125th Street, smacked right on 125th Street, right? And it's great, it's cool. I was against it in the beginning. Now I kind of like it, but Whole Foods is so expensive. And if you look at the medium income of that neighborhood, yes, those people couldn't afford it. But Whole Foods on 125th Street is not going to service the 10 surrounding projects. It's going to service the brownstones and the houses that are around there. And I think that I was like, how were they able to get a Whole Foods in Harlem before the Trader Joe's? Because Trader Joe's is cheaper.
Yeah, it's more cost effective.
Exactly. So I think that they have these people who, if you pay attention to your neighborhoods, when you walk outside, kind of like pick your head up and look around. There's a lot of like, you'll see like a random group of white guys scoping your neighborhood sometimes.
Oh, I know you're talking about.
Yes.
They're like,
the name of, I think they're called they're called geographers, but there's a special name for them.
I thought it was like surveyors or something like that.
It's not a surveyor because they're kind of just scoping out new real estate. Okay. But their goal is to scope out new real estate to put new stores in. Mm-hmm. They can do that, but they still don't know. They still don't know what the environment needs. And when you go to a store, like for instance, CeraVe, they're a face wash, really, really good. Everybody should use it. Really, really good. They only sell it in Target, and they only sell certain products in CVS. Okay. Always sold out on the one that I want. So I went to my beauty supply store guy and I was like, hey, because he has like a skincare section. I was like, hey, buy this. I'll be number one customer. Buy it. He's going to buy it. That easy transition of a conversation to tell somebody to buy something for the store doesn't happen in a CVS. Because when you need something in a CVS or a Rite Aid, you have to kind of go online, submit the thing. I worked in those offices. Nobody's reading them. They kind of don't care. They just want to look at the sales and like what comes in. But they don't really have people to see the missed opportunities. And I think that a lot of these places need that. And I kind of want to be that little thing.
Okay. So, SimStyle is a lifestyle platform, but it's going to basically kind of evolve into something greater with this. It's kind of like, in a way, kind of turn into an agency. Kind of like it's not. I don't know if I'm using the right term of agency, but with the planning and buying, like because you're still gonna have the publication aspect of it, right? So that side of it when it comes to conveying what the working girl needs, what the college girl needs. But on this side, it's like making sure that some of our neighborhoods that are filled with Black men, women, and
kids or anybody, anybody.
But like anybody that needs those products has those products is gonna be kind of like more of like a business unit or a business relations unit or B2B type thing. So I don't know how to convey it, but it's kind of like one of those firms or whatever, like it's going to have like those two wings and it can manifest even more wings, if that makes sense.
I don't know. I think that I guess this go back to the question of where you see me.
Yeah.
So I want to be split.
Okay.
I want Sim to be the publication that does articles about lifestyle, articles about life, how to get the job, where to get the jobs. We're starting now too. We started a job posting situation. Yeah. So kind of bringing that together, how to get the job, where to get the job, the merch line of like, this is your full life girl experience. And then for me, on the other hand, to kind of counter promote that, fix what's going on within those worlds.
Okay. I get it now. So it's kind of like two halves to a whole type of thing. So it's not a whole, but it's like just, this is what this is specializing in this while this is going on, and I built it up so it can be kind of like
running on its own and doing its own thing.
I'm still attached to it, but like I want to work on this project that I know is going to have impact on the community that really need it. Got
and
it.
Me, like I feel like I think like everything I do needs to impact not just me, my community, but like my life. Like I feel like even when I write the articles, like a lot of them are about humps that I had to go through, and I was like, again, not having a mentor, somebody to answer to, I want somebody just not to have to do the same thing I did. Like, I don't want somebody to not take a day off of work. I don't want somebody not to have to go through a stupid breakup when you could have did it months ago. So I want it to be situations where people can just relate and just like understand and be like, okay, cool. Well, she said it. I'm going to maybe take that lesson into account and then kind of go on like that.
Is there some kind of, I don't want to say joy because you're having fun doing this, but just doing this because you started SimStyle in 2015. You started Simplicity in 2000, I think.
14.
Yeah.
Like, what? No, before that, 12.
Before, it was like 11, 12, because you said you were like a junior in college. This way of expressing, is it kind of like cathartic for you, like kind of therapeutic of like your...
Oh my God, I love it.
Because this is so embedded into who you are and these evolutions that you've kind of gone through to like now as a, a planner buyer and you're doing all these things that you're going to be doing like big things. It's kind of like, have you like looked back at this and it's like, yo, this is pretty crazy. Like I just was wanting to be a cool little young lady just wearing cool pieces.
and now I'm like, the whole thing?
Yeah, now, not even just that, but you're helping people that would probably like, I would have never thought to do that. Like that's like kind of amazing when you think about it. Like,
again, it goes, I think up until recently, I downplay a lot of stuff that I did.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, this is nothing. I just did it because it was fun. But I think now, a little bit as I get older, I kind of look back and I'm like, whoa, you were doing all of that? No wonder you're tired. Like, no wonder you need some sleep. So I think it is therapeutic for me. Like, sitting down and writing articles, I do get writer's block sometimes, but it does make me smile. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it is like, okay, I had to write an article today. Let's bust this out really quickly. When I do collabs and stuff with different people, it makes me smile. 'Cause now I'm like, oh, cool. Look what I can do. Like, look, I started from a DM and now look, I have a full-fledged article on people who that you kind of are out of reach sometimes. So I do think it is therapeutic and I do love it. And I think that's another thing that opened my eyes over COVID. It was like, it had so much fun. Like, so I made when COVID first started, I was like, okay, cool, let's make a deal. Because you have some extra time on your hand because you don't have to go into the office or anything. You need to make sure that you put articles out every day. So for every day for 6 months, I put out articles.
Whew.
And it was tough. It was really, really tough. Like I would spend my Sundays sitting in front of the computer, spanning out 6 articles on different topics, and then also planning social media posts for the week, and then filling marketing for a newsletter. So it was a lot, but I think that it was always fun. And I think that the next stage into my life, as I hit my late 20s, oh God, I'm old, my late 20s.
Dude, I'm 30.
Feel like
I'm old.
Yeah, but I'm like so old. It feels gross to say 27. Ugh. But as I reach to those new heights, I feel like everything I need to do not only needs to be a lesson learned, but needs to be fun.
Okay.
I feel like I've taken life so serious for so long that like now I'm kind of like, all right, let's just see what this has to be like. And I think that's what Sim taught me. That's what the writers have taught me. Like I was in a really long relationship for 3 years. Okay.
I know I met you. You were on Dating in NYC podcast with
yes,
me, and
so,
you were in a relationship
exactly.
at that point. Yeah.
So I was in a relationship, and I'm out of the relationship now. But when I wrote the article, so okay, out of the relationship, it was a very bad turmoil how it ended in the end. I was like, oh, I need an article to write. I was like, let me write about the relationship. Let's see what happens. And I wrote about it on an honest point of view on how you know when it's time to break up. And I got so many responses from people that I didn't even know viewed my website. Like cries, like, you don't even understand how this changed my life. Like, thank you so much. I'm really into something bad, and reading this article made me seem like I need to get out of this now. And different things like that. I think that that's my goal, is to kind of help people fix that stuff. Like, and it's stuff that people don't talk about. I remember, we have this thing called the Confession series on the website. And I came up with laying on my couch and I was like, oh, let's talk to people who don't talk about it. And I met a woman with HIV/AIDS.
Yeah.
And when we were kids, that was such a taboo.
Yeah, we thought that was like a death sentence.
Yeah, dead. And meeting this woman, to be honest with you, I still kind of thought it was still a death sentence. And then meeting this woman and talking to her, I was like, oh shit. Not to say don't be protected, but talking to her, it was kind of like, whoa, like people go through things on their off time and you would never even know. Because if you look at her, you would never have known what she was going on to. And I think that my goal in life is just to bring awareness to things and show people and kind of put people on, because it was so hard for me to get there that I want to make it easier for other people.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And this is not just the end at all, but it was just like, there's a lot that you do that I just feel like you got to hear that more often,
Yeah.
I feel like there's a lot of times we have conversations when it comes to women, and I feel like the power of vulnerability, like Chrissy Teigen. I'm sorry, I looked down because like the name was in my head. I just couldn't. I was like, John Legend's wife, who's a model, supermodel, and it was everything else. And it was like, it's populating my head. And I'm sorry if she ever watches this. You're not only known because John Legend's wife.
No, I actually love you, period. I love that woman.
Even when she was going through her
when she was pregnant just now.
Yeah, it was like a miscarriage.
Yeah, she had a miscarriage.
Yeah. And I think some people were trying to say, oh, you're doing this for clout and other things. But other people were like, first of all, there's a lot of things that happen when it comes to celebrities that we think that they're like magical beings, that they're rich, that everything
goes
just
away.
Happens to be like smooth. So happens to be like their life is perfect. But to me, when you have moments like that where it shows like, yeah, obviously we all bleed the same blood, but like that vulnerability is like, because if people are going to look at you, KB, of like just how you carry yourself, Leo Aura, like,
they'll think I'm stuck up.
I don't want to say stuck up, but probably more sure of yourself, where it's like, yeah, I don't think she has any insecurities or anything wrong. Well, we all have insecurities. Exactly. And with that, when it comes to like just ending a relationship or ending a partnership, I feel like your brand, not only does it cover fashion, it just covers the essence of life. And I think that's something impactful where you've come from an amazing young lady with such a support system with your mom and your aunt giving you opportunity to write, how the love of fashion has become a love and appreciation of aesthetic too. And how you convey that through your expression in that clothes, and how you are your authentic self all the time. And that's what's important. Like, you found that lane, you've kind of like owned it. And now it gets to a point of other people can look at you and be like, all right, cool. I can find this love in fashion. Exactly. I can find this love in going through these areas of my life. I can find this in just find myself in the process while alongside you finding yourself continuously. And I gotta say, that's amazing.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I appreciate that.
So with that being said, you kind of already talked about what you're going to do in the future. So like for the next year, what are you trying to, what are the kind of key things you're trying to focus on? What are the things for you? Like not even just SimStyle. We already talked about that. We literally talked about everything you're trying to do for those things. What are you trying to do for yourself, right? Outside of, I don't care about no boyfriends or nothing, like just your journey. What are you trying to do?
I want to maintain and be happy. I think that life has been such a rush. Literally, I feel like I've been running for I think I've been running since I was born. So I feel like this is the first time, I keep saying this is the first time COVID was really bad and it was really hard for me. But this is the first time in my entire life that I could like sit down and ask myself, what does Kiana want to do? You know what I mean? Like, and I say Kiana, not KB, because like, I feel like KB is like me. It's who everybody knows me to do. You know what I mean? Or what is the most KB thing to do is what my best friend always says, right? And I kind of want to sit down and figure out what I want to do. And I've come to that, like I want to maintain and be happy and create things that I want to do. Like my goal next year, I'm buying a house in New York City next year, guys. I am buying a house. I'm going to buy a condo.
I like the energy because
I'm buying something.
You said a condo?
I want to,
I'm leaning with a condo.
I want a condo. So this is my thought process. So everybody's buying things in Jersey and Brooklyn. I am from Harlem. And growing up, the goal was always to be south of 110. Harlem starts on 110th. So south of 110 is just downtown.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Always a goal.
Well, for Harlem world. Because to me, because it was like West Harlem. Under West Harlem was like Upper West or whatever and Upper East. It's pretty much like where the affluent people live. Like they live... Which is weird. Their proximity to Harlem is very close,
but they're not in
Harlem.
They're
not in Harlem,
exactly.
So they get the access to it. But it's like I'm
gonna go back home.
Yeah,
exactly. And I've always said to myself, okay, I want to buy something in Manhattan. So my goal for next year is, fingers crossed, it's gonna happen. Is that next year that I buy my first spot. And then all my close 5 girlfriends, we all have businesses. So from there, we want to buy a office space.
Ooh.
So next year, the goal is for all of us to have office space, and we'll split it, even if it's small, but we split up corners, and it was like the Sim Studios in one corner, Muso Beauty in another corner, 822 Decor in another corner, and then we kind of have like our own office space and kind of working from there. I think for so long, I've always wanted to work for other people. I thought that was like the goal. I was like, oh, I want to be a worker and work at a big company and do this and be a boss. And I slowly seen that I am my own boss by myself. So it's funny because I still want to work for another company or for companies, but I want to create Sim to be something that I'm just happy with. You know what I mean? Like, and that's if I make no money or $1,000 bazillion. Like, I want to just be happy with the decisions I make and not regret things. I try to live life with not regrets, and I'm doing pretty good now. But I want it to be where like I wake up in the morning, I'm just happy, and I could have $0 in my bank account. I could have $1 bazillion in my bank account. I just want to wake up and be happy and know that I made the right decision the day before.
Yeah, I love that. What an ending, guys. We're going to have her say her socials real quick. KB, list off all your socials, SimStyle, college girl. Like, list all those things. We're going to add those links to it. But yeah, this is awesome.
So the Instagram page is simpstyle.com, simpstyle.com, C-O-M.
Okay.
The website is simpstyle.com. And my personal page is simpkb. It has to be on brand, right? All together.
You run that, yeah.
Exactly. And then hopefully when you guys see this, mug line is done and out there, and you can shop the mugs on the shop tab within the website.
Awesome.
And I'm also open to collabs and stuff. So if you have any questions or anything that you're interested,
her email is pretty much at the bottom. It's like info
at simpstyle.com. Yeah. Exactly. So yeah,
I had to backtrack to find out what her first name is. But guys, it's been a pleasure. We have KB in the building. This is Skip from BK of Dreams Money Can Buy via Cove Alpha. Make sure you are following me if you haven't. I don't know why you're here if you're not. Skip from BK everywhere. Cove Alpha, that's COVEALPA. And we'll catch you next time, ladies and gentlemen. Peace.
Bye.
Another day, and then just another post-credit scene. So shout out to KB. Just a brilliant writer. Just the modern Black woman millennial, just crushing it, really. And if you just want to just keep in the know of how she's doing with her website, with her stuff because she sells merchandise too. On Twitter, it's Wears KB, so it's Wears, so it's WHEREESKB. That is WHEREESKB. That's on Twitter. On Instagram, it is Simp KB, so it's SIMPKB. So yeah, if you don't know how to spell KB, I don't know what to tell you. Her Instagram for her platform is simpstyle.com. So it's literally simp style, and you spell out the .dot.com. So she spells it out, and her website is simpstyle.com. So, and she also has a shop where she sells a lot of cool little nifty things. She has a nice ass cup. I gotta kind of order myself a cup. I've been slacking on her. And just keeping a note with me, don't forget about me. Don't forget about your boy, Skip from BK on everything, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, Tumblr. I got some things coming out. When they come out, you will find out. But it's coming. Shout out to Slept On Creatives. These are my people for production purposes when it comes to the audio, the video, the everything syncing together, the clips. It is all a team, aspect from them. So Instagram is Slept On Creatives and Twitter is SO_creatives. And last but not least, it is my thing. It's just all mine. Cove Alpha. You can find that on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. That's where all the podcasts are going to be. That's where all the articles are going to be. Any content, we do it from there. So just stay in the know, stay safe, stay well rested, and just keep following us on this journey of us bringing the creatives to you. Peace.